Hi everyone, it's Cindy. Welcome back to Studioloo. I am back today with Junk Journal January, and it is day 17. Top 5 is our prompt. You can find more information down below in the description box about the Junk Journal January challenge. So thanks for hanging out with me. Somehow the sound on this video got completely lost, so you're getting voiceover Cindy today. As you can see, I have a nice cup of coffee. I am talking about how the top 5 had me a little bit stumped. I wasn't sure where to go with it because I think in a journaling situation, you could talk about your top 5 vacations, your top 5, what have you. But I'm doing like journal ephemera and that kind of thing. But also I'm kind of mixing up my videos a little bit. So in this case, what I want to show you is sort of like a good way to kickstart your day by doing like the top 5 things that you see that need to get done in your studio or your craft room, because as a maker, as an artist, we always have about a million things that need to get done, and we're always fighting like how to get them done. So I think I am going to try to present to you today those top 5 things that occurred to me today as I entered my studio. I'm working on this journal right now, which I will be bringing to you very soon. It's a make-along that I'm doing with my Patreon. So I first am just opening it to the first page that requires something. I need a piece of ephemera to fit in that little tuck spot right there, and it has to fit on that page. So I will perhaps take a look at some of the books that I've set aside that I'm kind of rifling through for fodder for this journal. This one is a really funny book called Hostess with the Mostess. It's about retro recipes. So I am taking some things out of this book, and I've been looking now at this first page that has all these fun little conversion tables on it. And I'm thinking, because it's a nice like shiny kind of retro feeling page, and it's a beautiful color. It's also blank on back, that I can just go ahead and maybe cut some of these out and make like little tucks, like little tucked ephemera pieces for them. So I think I will go ahead and just grab my blade now and cut this book page out. As you can see, I've got sleeves today. I'm usually wearing a sundress in the house, but it is so cold today. Oh my goodness. It's a very cold day, so I've got this big poofy, it's actually my husband's fleecy sweater. So, all right, so I've got this pulled out now, and I'm just going to simply grab my scissors and cut those out and see what I'm going to do with them here. Okay, so I'm just reviewing the book and what I need to put in there. So it looks like a couple of these will fit. So I will just quickly cut these out. I have to go back to the journal and take a look and see which ones I will pop in the pocket here. So this is like a little writing space, but it's also a little tuck spot on this vintage recipe book page. So I'll try maybe 3 of them in there. They fit comfortably. And then I need to figure out where to put the other 2 pieces in this journal. And I'm being reminded that I have this one page that needs a little extra something. So I'm just kind of searching through the journal for it. And then I'm remembering that there are 2 pockets. So I'm stealing one of those pieces to go back to that page that I need to fill in, and here they are. So these 2 little pockets need some little bits of ephemera, and these 3 pieces will fit perfectly in there. So that is number 1 of my top 5 things I needed to do completed. Now I'm going to move on to number 2, and this is like, you know how sometimes you go shopping and then things just kind of sit around in your studio? Well, yesterday I went shopping. I went to a local art store called Wyndham Arts in Guelph, Ontario, to get some supplies for my daughter. And my son, and also myself. So I just picked up this lovely tempera paint. So tempera paint is fun because it comes in these nice pucks, and you can get the little trays very inexpensively to just keep them in. So as you add water, the paint will kind of spread out a little, and then you can just re-up again if you run out of those colors. So I chose the 9 colors that are in there are like solid normal tempera paint colors, very rich tones, beautiful. And then the little one, those are all metallics. So there's like a rose gold, a gold, copper, and a pearlescent tone. So they're all really pretty. I have to turn some of these over. I just like having the little center well there because it will hold a bit of water. I have no idea if that is by intention or just from how they mold the tempera, but it's always been a little hack for me that you can hold a bit of water on your tempera that way. And the art supply store had probably about, I don't know how many colors, like probably 4 or 5 more colors in the large puck, and then these are the metallics. So I was like, I will try the metallics too. Okay, so let's start with the solid colors and then I'll go to metallics after, but we'll let the metallics just kind of hang out over there for a bit. I'm actually going to maybe dump a little water off the metallics because I think I went a little kooky, so hold on. That's good, that's good. Okay. All right. And then I grabbed a piece of watercolor paper. And what I want to do, maybe just move my water palette up here for my brushes. I'll just set it up here. Move my paints over. And then I'm going to just swatch these on here. Now I grabbed these scrubby brushes yesterday for my kids. They're really inexpensive. They're just little fun Selectum brushes. And I don't know like what I might use them for in the studio. So I just grabbed a couple for myself as well. So now the paint is getting nice and rich. So yeah, that's pretty fun, I would say. So let's just put this water down here so I can rinse. And I have a book page over here. I'm just going to be kind of wiping my brush on a little. Just going to go from paint to paint. And they're nice and like watery, and I need a paper towel, or no, a towel. Here we go. There's my towel. Of yellow. Tempera is quite like a watercolor. I just realized I don't have any green. They were out of a few colors, which is okay. It's kind of nice to have like different limited palettes. I've been looking at a lot of watercolor makers and thinking about the limitations of different palettes. And we have the black and the brown. I wanted to get those basic colors because I felt like I use them a lot in my work in general. We always need a black and a brown. So, okay, so there's the swatch of those. Now I'm going to do one maybe color mixing just here. So we'll start with that purpley tone. We'll see how it mixes into a bluey tone. What kind of secondary color we can get here. So we're getting another purple that we didn't have before. And then let's try going into a yellow tone. Okay, cool. And then let's see if I can come up with a nice green from using a blue and a yellow. Yeah, there we go. We're getting green. So they mix nicely, I would say. They feel very watercolory on this watercolor paper. Now I will put down the scrubby brush because I see how that works with them. And I will go ahead and pull over the metallics now and use a smaller brush because these are smaller pucks. So we'll start with this like light coppery tone. Oh wow, that's actually really nice paint. You can get a little opaque with that too, which is quite nice. Yeah, it sits down on the paper a little differently with the mica powder in it. Now let's try the gold. It's good for textural effects, I think. And then we'll try this rosy gold. You can get a nice thicker tone with this. It's great. More opaque. And then the last one, I don't know how it's going to show up on white paper. It's probably better on black, but it is the pearlescent kind of one. So a little hard to see. I'm also mixing it a bit with the copper, I think, but that's okay. That's kind of a secondary experiment all in one, so I'm okay with that. Okay. Just dumping a little more of the excess water off. I'll leave a little in the pan with my paint. I tend to leave these ones as is and they like melt down into the cups, and then you can just replace them as they age, like once you've used up most of your cup. The only thing I would recommend is like to keep your light colors the right color, especially if children are using these. Just kind of go over them with something to clean them off afterward. Like I just cleaned off the yellow because it had a bit of black on there, just with a baby wipe. Okay, so I have completed, I would say, this one of my top 5 things I wanted to do. I will be right back after I clean this up. Okay, so next thing I need to do is a bit of a reuse, revamp kind of project with this old journal that is all grid paper. It's a big, fat, thick journal. McElreus? I have no idea. I've had this for a long time because look, February 14th, 2010. So this, I think, was from, I went to Frederick, Maryland, North Carolina, Gate City Yarns. I met Elizabeth from the Lime and Violet podcast. And my husband wrote, we were doing like a travel journal back and forth. 2011, but we didn't really keep it up. This is when we went on the Maid of the Mist. I think this was like our honeymoon, actually. I can't remember. Yes, so this is a bit of like private journal writing, and I took it out of this book because I feel like I really dislike when I have a book that just has this much going on and then that much sitting around. So I'm just going to repurpose this. So what I'll do with all these fun little journal entries here, I'm going to staple them together and find another like journal that I'm working on that I can tuck these into as like a sweet memory. So I do have a journal for that, so maybe I'll do that. Let's see, I'm revamping to build up another top 5, right? This will be tomorrow's top 5. So what I want to do with this book, I've been thinking about like all these different kinds of challenges that I'm doing, and also just idea keeping. And I have like this, like I started doing the Tome of Concepts, I think from D.B. Farrago, like 2020. It was TC 2020, I think. I always forget, but it was essentially an idea journal that you would put like an example of all your different pieces of ephemera in and make this massive book of ideas. So I sort of lagged and slacked on doing that, but I also was thinking about a simplified way of doing this. So one thing that I would like to do this week is, I'm a little late to the game, but I would like to get into and jump into doing Roxy's weekly challenge from Roxy's Creations. I didn't do it last time. I meant to, but I just didn't. And so I would like to do it this time. And also, you know, doing both this junk journal January as well as like, you know, Defemerember and like the other things I do where I'm making different things. Or sometimes I just come up with something that I'm like, oh, that was cool. I would like to maybe just document them quickly with like a quick little diagram and a note of what it is. So I haven't made the journal, or sorry, not the journal, but the video for this yet. But what I want to do is just make a quick little title page that says like ephemera, notes, and diagrams, because that's what I want this journal to be. And I will make this a little cuter later. But what I'm going to do, because I have this nice gridded paper, I'm going to be loose about it. I'm not going to use a ruler or anything. I don't know how this will fold. Yeah, that will fold nicely. Is I'm going to just come over here. And so if I use like Roxy's weekly challenge, I know week 1, it was like a double, no, it was 4 pockets from one book page. That's what she called it. That's kind of like the title of the project. And it wrapped around a page. Wraps around a page. Then I'll do the diagram of it. So it looked like this. This was the pocket. And then I'll use dotted lines to show folds. And I'll make a note that here and here, you fold over the edge to create strength. Along edges of the piece of ephemera, essentially. So I'll just kind of show it here, also with a dotted line. So then this is where it wraps around page. And then here we have a pocket. Actually, that's not a line. Take that line out. So this is, we'll go down here. Folded up edge pocket. So that's the 2. And then when you wrap it around, essentially this is where the glue is going to go here and here. So we can say that this is glued in an L shape. And then this becomes, let's draw a couple little arrows maybe. Do this in the way it's going to make sense for you. Both sides are tuck spots. Okay, so that's just my first little diagram and note about a piece of ephemera that I made. I think you could put tabs here with labels on them if you wanted, like pocket, you know, belly band, like whatever. Like you could, maybe you could even organize in sections. I don't know how formal I'm going to get with this. I'm just going to make notes because it's good to do that for me. So that is number 3. I'll be back with number 4. Okay, so number 4 is something that's been driving me a little kooky for a while now. So I made a bunch of these some time ago, and I call these my audience cards. In order for them to be finished, I now need to stitch a square around the bottom to give a framed-in space for journaling. So these have been sitting on my sewing machine table, like falling all over my table, getting in my way for probably a month and a half now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch around all of them and come back and show you that I got it done. Okay, so this is all completed. Months of procrastination done. So I guess my tip is don't overwhelm yourself with mask making. If possible, you know, it can get a little bit like overwhelming to just make so many things. So I think a better rule of thumb is if you want to sit down and mask make something like this because you're using up a book and you want to do something like this, you know, make like a 5-a-day rule. Like come in your studio, do 5 of these and then move on. Okay, so last thing I need to do today is about my creativity sampler. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you're probably like, huh? So I do have, if you just look on my channel under creativity sampler, essentially what this is it's a book where I document, this was my favorite book from my childhood, so I made it a little special. This is a little picture of me and just some stuff about the book. But what the main purpose of this book is that I use an almost stamp-like methodology kind of to document all the different journals that I've made just by keeping scraps of what I have left over. Or sometimes I will print thumbnails. Like in this case, this was my Moth Keeper illustration series that I made for my Patreons, and I printed the thumbnails to document that I did that. This was my Norris Stars journal that I recently finished. So what I want to do today, I'm working now on this journal that will be coming soon. I'm making it on Patreon. I want to collect the bits and bobs that I'm sort of collecting as I'm making the journal so that I have some fodder to do that page. So what I want to do is make sure that I don't just toss all this stuff into the scrap bin or whatever, because then I won't have anything left to make my summary at the end of like little scraps so I can remember having made this journal. So I have in the front here just this pocket that I keep everything in, and then when I finish the journal, I will make use of all the bits and bobs and maybe write, at minimum I write just the title of the journal and the month and year of when I made it, or I might write a little summary, like if it was digitals that I created, I might write a little bit about the collection. But yeah, I want to just organize those materials so that I'll have them when I'm finished the journal. I may still add a few more things to it. I haven't, you know, I don't know what will happen, but that's my top 5 for today. So I hope that it inspires you to think about how to kind of kickstart your morning with a bit of progress and accomplishment, and also to just feel kind of like, huh, that's good. I got all that stuff. I cleared the wreckage, you know. So thank you for hanging out with me today. I will be back tomorrow with another day of Junk Journal January. Take care.